The year is 69 BC. The place, the ancient Egyptian city of Alexandria. The setting, a grand palace where intrigues are as deadly as poisons and where the fate of kingdoms hangs in the balance. Enter our protagonist, Cleopatra, a young princess destined for greatness. Her name echoes with power, her lineage traceable back to the great rulers of Egypt, but Cleopatra is no ordinary princess. She's a leader, a strategist, a woman who will stop at nothing to protect her people and her kingdom. But how can such a determined, strong-willed leader possibly be undone? Let's find out. Cleopatra isn't your typical damsel in distress. Sure, she's beautiful, a true embodiment of the Egyptian ideals of beauty, but she's also intelligent, charismatic, and incredibly ambitious. While many princesses of her time were known for their extravagant spending and social events, Cleopatra preferred immersing herself in books, honing her intellect, and understanding her kingdom's complexities. She spoke multiple languages, including Egyptian, which set her apart from many of her European counterparts. When it comes to appearances, Cleopatra knew how to make an entrance. Imagine a grand procession with elephants and chariots and Cleopatra on a golden throne being carried aloft on the shoulders of men. That's how she made heads turn, but her true power lay not in her looks or her wealth, but in her mind. But despite Cleopatra's best efforts, the kingdom is on the brink of ruin. The treasury is almost empty, the granaries are bare, and the people are on the verge of starvation. Egypt's biggest trading partner, Rome, has slapped an embargo on trade with Egypt. It seems like all hope is lost. Just when things couldn't get worse, Cleopatra's younger brother and co-regent, Ptolemy XIII, who she hasn't exactly seen eye to eye with, passes away mysteriously, leaving Cleopatra to rule alone. But wait, there's more. It turns out Ptolemy had another sister named Arsinoe, who returns from her exile with a band of loyalists, determined to seize control. You know what they say, beware the sister who returns. Amidst all this chaos, a new player enters the scene, Julius Caesar, Roman dictator and one of the most powerful men of his time. He's arrived in Alexandria on a mission to resolve a dispute between the Egyptian royal siblings. But given Cleopatra's uncanny ability to attract trouble, Caesar gets sucked into her web of intrigue. Initially, their relationship was purely political. Caesar needed Cleopatra's help to stabilize the kingdom and restore order. And Cleopatra needed Caesar's support to maintain her hold on the throne. But as they worked together, a spark ignited, leading to a passionate romance that would give birth to Caesarion, Cleopatra's son. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This isn't a fairy tale. Theirs was a complicated relationship that defied societal norms. Caesar, a Roman senator, was older, powerful, and most definitely not single. Yet he found himself drawn to Cleopatra, a foreign queen with whom he shared a deep intellectual connection. Their romance wasn't merely a tale of star-crossed lovers. It was a study in contrasts, a Roman god and an Egyptian goddess finding common ground in a world of shifting alliances and power struggles. Their secret rendezvous, hidden from prying eyes, painted a picture of stolen moments and forbidden love. Back in Egypt, though, the plot thickens. Arsinoe, still yearning for power, stirs up rebellion, plunging the kingdom into civil war. Meanwhile, Caesar grapples with his own problems in Rome, with senators plotting against him. Unable to fully commit to Cleopatra, Caesar is forced to return to Rome, leaving Cleopatra and her newborn son in Alexandria. Now, you might think this is where the story ends. Perhaps Caesar returns victorious, reunited with his beloved Cleopatra, or maybe he meets his demise at the hands of those very senators. But that's not what happened. No, this is where the plot takes a twist more dramatic than any Shakespearean tragedy. Caesar is indeed assassinated in Rome, stabbed to death by a group of senators fearing his growing power. With Caesar gone, Cleopatra finds herself once again caught in the crossfire, not of an Egyptian civil war this time, but of a battle for Rome's supremacy. Enter Mark Antony, one of Caesar's closest allies and now a key player in Rome's power struggle. Amidst the chaos, Cleopatra and Antony meet, and it's love at first sight. Or is it? Well, we can't say for sure. History often blurs the lines between political strategy and genuine affection. Their initial meetings were likely a mix of diplomacy and seduction, a dance of power and attraction that could only occur within the confines of the ancient world. Their relationship, however, was far from a fairy tale. It was a whirlwind of passion and politics, marked by intense arguments and reconciliations. Think of them as the ultimate power couple, kind of like Kim and Kanye, but with more togas and slightly less drama. But as they say, all good things must come to an end. And this holds true for Cleopatra and Caesar. But their story doesn't end with his death. Instead, it morphs into something new, a political alliance aimed at securing their shared interests. Despite the turbulent times, their bond remained steadfast. They stood together as Rome was plunged into civil war, emerging as victors on the field of Actium. Now, you might expect their triumph to lead to peace and prosperity, right? Well, not quite. The victory at Actium marked a turning point, not necessarily for the better. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir, declared himself the first emperor of Rome, taking the title Augustus. This defeat spelled the end of the line for Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Augustus, eager to consolidate his power, turned his attention to Egypt. Seeing Cleopatra as a threat to his authority, he started a campaign to destroy her. The once celebrated queen now faced a formidable enemy. With Augustus breathing down their necks, Cleopatra and Antony retreat to Egypt, hoping its borders would protect them. But Augustus was hot on their trail. He sent his right-hand man, Agrippa, to finish the job. Outnumbered and desperate, Cleopatra and Antony made a final stand, but it was a losing battle. Agrippa's forces were too strong. The end was near. As the noose tightened around them, their inner demons emerged. Rumors swirled that Cleopatra had poisoned Antony, a tragic end to their tumultuous romance. But did she or didn't she? We may never know for sure. But one thing is certain, Cleopatra was about to face her greatest challenge yet. The Egyptians had lost the battle, and now their queen was on the run. Her escape from the pursuing Roman army led her to the shores of the Red Sea, where her fleet awaited her. With determination burning in her heart, Cleopatra knew the journey would be long and fraught with peril. The vast sea stretched before her, a metaphor for the immensity of her challenge. As she embarked on her journey, every wave seemed to mock her with the memory of her fallen kingdom, and then it happened. The ship carrying her vital supplies was lost to a sudden storm, leaving her and her companions with dwindling resources. Hunger and thirst became their constant companions, testing their endurance day after day. Cleopatra, however, refused to break. She pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and defiance. Behind her, the pursuing Romans grew closer. Before her lay the unknown. Finally, after weeks at sea, land appeared on the horizon, a beacon of hope amidst the endless blue. But this unexpected paradise soon turned into a prison. Pirates attacked, seeking to plunder what little Cleopatra and her crew had left. Trapped and outnumbered, they fought back, but it was a losing battle. Soon, Cleopatra and her remaining companions, including her loyal sister, were captured. When word reached Rome of Cleopatra's capture, celebrations erupted. For Augustus, it was a trophy, a symbol of his victory over Egypt, but Cleopatra had other plans. Determined not to live as a Roman captive, she chose a different fate. Legend says she allowed an asp, an Egyptian snake, to bite her, ending her life on her own terms. As the sun set on her life, Cleopatra looked back on a life well lived. She had loved and lost, ruled and been defeated, but always she had remained defiant. In her final moments, she was a queen without a kingdom, a woman without a crown, but still a legend in the making. Her story didn't end with her death. It echoed through the ages, inspiring countless tales and becoming a timeless part of human history. Cleopatra, the name itself evokes images of power, beauty, and tragedy. Her story, a mosaic of ambition, love, and loss, remains one of the most captivating narratives ever told.